for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore when we can't read the sky. We just sail with the wind that we've got. And when we're drowning in doubt, just keep on believing. We are dreamers of the...
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Fraoch Knits podcast. My name is Anya, and you're all really welcome here to another episode of my knitting podcast, coming to you from the west of Ireland and talking to you about all my knitting projects and yarn and what I've been up to, I suppose, for the past month. And also at the end, the second half of the podcast, I will also do my little section on Irish folklore and legend, and usually associated with a tree or a plant. And today's plant or tree is the oak. So I'm going to be talking about the oak, and I'll tell you why I chose that one today. So you're all really welcome. It's really lovely to have you here. It's really good to be back. It's so hard to get back to this if you've been away for it for a while, and I think this is probably 5 weeks since I last sent out a podcast or recorded. It's been a really busy month of August, and I'm just about squeezing this in before the end of the month and before the official end of the summer. So it's school has started back already for us because my son Ruben, who is now almost 13, has started secondary school. So that's been a really exciting time for us. Just on Friday he had his day of his first day, which is really an induction and introduction to the school. And so it's a really exciting time. Things are really moving forward and changing in our lives, so it's very good. So I'm delighted to be able to be here with you now anyway, and to be able to chat with you. So so sit back and relax and grab yourself your beverage of choice, whether hot or cold. I have a lovely cup of fennel tea, which is really calming. So cheers and enjoy your tea. That's really, really lovely. So so what I'm going to look at today is the usual finished objects, works in progress, and of course I'm going to announce the winner of the giveaway. I have this lovely yarn, this beautiful 250 gram skein of Galway Heritage Life in the Long Grass Heritage Galway yarn. And this is about, I think it's sort of Aran weight, and it is the only native Irish breed of sheep, which is being revived in a way for the production of wool. Most of the sheep in Ireland, there are millions of sheep in Ireland, but they're usually bred for their meat, and we have lovely lamb in this country, which is world famous, but mostly the fleeces are undervalued, or they're waste. They're not used for the wool is too rough for use in knitting, say for garments, and this Galway breed is perfect for many uses, and it's being revived. So it's really lovely to see it, and I'm so delighted to be able to promote it and to promote the wool by offering it as a giveaway. And I'm looking forward to knitting it with it myself, which I haven't done yet, although I have knit with Galway Wool from Cushendale Woolen Mills in County Kilkenny. If you watched an earlier podcast, I made a pair of socks out of a lace weight version of that, held double with silk mohair. So that winner of this beautiful skein of yarn is going to be announced at the end of the podcast, so stick around and I'll announce that later. Yes, so I've a lot to talk to you about today. Surprisingly, I thought I would have nothing because I did very, very little knitting in August, which is often the case in the summer months. Usually I'm away on holidays, or I'm just too busy doing other things, and it's bright outside and it's a lovely time to be out in the fresh air and not sitting indoors knitting. So the main holiday we had this year was in England, and we went and Wales, of course. My brother lives in Wales, so we visited my brother and his family, and we visited friends who live in England, and we went walking in the Yorkshire Dales with the friends, and we also went camping with them in the Lake District, and it was an absolutely brilliant holiday. It was nearly 2 weeks altogether of just a road trip, really, and I took the ferry from Dublin to Holyhead in Wales, and this is the second year that I've done this, and it's just the most easy way to travel. I am so tired of airports and airplanes and all of the hassle that goes with that, and so it has become a really nice ritual for us to actually take the ferry over and visit my friends and family in England. And the really good advantage as well of being on a ferry is that it takes 3.5 hours roughly, or just over 3 hours, to get from Dublin to Holyhead, and I have my knitting, so it was fantastic. So I finished when I was on the ferry over to England. I finished what I'm wearing at the moment, so this is my first finished object. This is the Suri shirt by Cadre, and it is knit using the cream colour is Kremka Soul wool, and that is 90% wool, 10% linen, I think. I could be wrong with the percentages, but it's a linen wool mix. And then the navy blue colour is Rama Gamel Serie, and I have the number. I'll put the number up on screen of the colour. Actually, I have more of it here, so I got a replacement because I had run out. I got more. To finish this, I had to actually wait for it to arrive. So it is number 459. It's 100% Norwegian wool Ramagarn. So that arrived in the beginning of August from iles, that beautiful website, that beautiful yarn seller that I was telling you about in the last podcast. So yeah, this is my first finished object to show you. I will stand up and give you a view of how it looks. So it's got a split hem, you can see that, and it is still supposed to be slightly longer at the back. I hope I have it on the right way around, and the neck is equal on both front and back, and it's a beautiful 2x2 rib, and this is literally there is no sleeve, it's just the top hanging over the shoulder, and it's finished off with a 2x2 rib. And you've got this gorgeous 2x2 long rib with split hem at the bottom. So the design is actually just for a single colour, but I've done the striped version because I just thought it would make the project go quicker, which it actually did, and also I just love this sort of nautical look of the cream and the navy. Somebody asked me in one of the comments after the last podcast, was I able to successfully wash it without the colour running, and I haven't tried washing this yet, so it hasn't been blocked, but I did try putting yarn, two pieces of, or a bunch of the two colours together in hot water, and there was no sign of it running from one to the other. So I've done that little test, so hopefully when I do wash it, it'll be okay. I'm sure it will. So yeah, that's my finished project, the main finished project for this month, and it was a real pleasure to knit, and I have to say I was even able to wear it as soon as I got off the ferry. when I was in Wales and England, I was able to wear this as a summer top, and it's just gorgeous. It was sometimes a little bit too warm because of the wool content, but most of the time just perfect for sort of weather in this part of the world, which is very mixed at the moment. It's a lot of rain, a lot of a lot of mixed weather, not too hot, sort of mid-teens, low 20s at the hottest. So yeah, that's my my top from my holidays. And then the other project that I finished also on my holidays, at the very end I cast on the second sock of these beautiful contrast blast socks from the, what was it called, the mystery, not the mystery knit along, but it was a surprise sock along that Stephen West was running. And the yarns that I used here are, the pink was, it was Walk collection, also linen wool mix, so 10% linen, 90% wool, and then the aubergine colourway there is from Malabrigo, so it's a Malabrigo sock. Also, what was I going to say to you about the colour? That was Goyaba, it was the colour of the pink. Now I actually didn't have enough left, so I used an alternative pink colourway, which pink yarn, which you can just about possibly see the difference in the colours. I managed to get as far as the base of the leg with the original colour, and then I used this one, which is left over from a half and half triangles wrap that I knit last year, or the year before actually. This is from Pearl Soho, and it's linen quill, and it's flamingo, pink flamingo I think is the name of it. So that's my second finished object, and actually these were, I have to say, a very enjoyable knit, but a knit that I couldn't do when I was talking to anybody. There's so much to follow, there's so many instructions to follow in this. It did get easier knitting the second sock because I was able to memorise a little bit better, but I still had to focus so much on what I was doing. But they're a lovely pair of socks, they fit great, they're really funky, always good fun to follow a mystery knit along. Really enjoy it, and Stephen West's designs are really great. I mean, you can only see this properly when you're wearing it, but they're mirror images of each other. There's a left and a right sock, and I was initially just going to do 2 right socks, but then I thought, oh sure, look, I'll give it a go and I'll do a left and a right, and it worked out fine. It wasn't that much more difficult than doing 2 the same. So yeah, I knit these on a 2.25mm needle, which I think is just perfect because they just fit me, and I adore the pattern on the heel, that gorgeous heel pattern, which is just made up of knit and purl stitches, and I mean, it's so simple but it's so effective, it looks gorgeous. And I absolutely love the top of the sock as well, which is made of, a pattern using cables. So that's my my contrast blast socks from Stephen West. So very, very happy with those. So that's my 2 finished objects for this month, and I have moved on to picking up an old project for the autumn. So that's my sort of the end of my summer knitting. I did have another summer top on the needles, which I showed you the last time, but I abandoned that. I haven't picked it up since, and I probably won't do anything with it now for maybe until next summer, or maybe I will. But at the moment my focus is very much moved to autumn knits, and this is a project that you've seen so many times before, and I have reached as far as finishing the I finished the body. This is the Decision Cardigan by Strick, by the way, and I am partially, probably a third of the way or less, a quarter of the way maybe, down one of the sleeves, and the whole sleeve to knit, and the collar. So there's a lovely ribbed collar to knit on this, and then there'll be putting a zip into the front of it, a big long zip that goes up to the collar. So this is going to be, I'm really inspired now to knit this. I haven't wanted to pick it up all year. There have been so many other projects that got in the way, and this now is something that is the perfect time of the year to knit it. We're coming into the autumn. Can't wait to knit this, to finish it rather. It's a bit slow because it's a 3mm needle. The yarns I'm using are these gorgeous yarns. So it's De Rerum Natura Ulysse, and it is Ito Sensai is the is a silk mohair, and I think it's called Gold Oak. It's Gold Oak, and this one is called Arable, as far as I can remember, Arable. So these two held together are creating this absolutely beautiful fabric, which is really squishy with the cables. Anchor Strix designs are just my favourites. I love them. They're so simple and classic, and this looks so tailored, really, the way it's been designed. So yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment. I've just started working on that. I just finished the contrast blast socks yesterday, and I decided I would pick this out of the whip pile and I would just start straight into it again. So that's a really engaging project that I'm absolutely loving, and that's pretty much it for projects. Actually, I don't have any more to show you there, so I'm going to show you my my acquisitions, because I have a fair few of those between ordering wool online and buying wool during my holidays in England. I have a few things to show you. So hello again. I am back again to tell you about the yarn acquisitions that I made when I was on my holidays, and yeah, so I ordered yarn before I went away, and the main reason for that was I needed the Rama garn, 2-ply Gamma Seri, what was it, 459 navy blue, to finish off this project. So I had originally bought a ball of this. It was the only one left in the shop when I was in Amsterdam, and it was actually Leiden, a shop in Leiden, that I bought it in. And it's really, really fancy, beautiful yarn to work with, and I had heard so much about how what lovely yarn Rama is. It's a Norwegian yarn, and I had heard Skein Knits, Ellie from Skein Knits, talking about it, and I really wanted to try it out. So it was really a pleasure to work with in this project. So I ordered a few more balls of that online to finish this project, so I have a few left over, so I'll have to make something new. I'm sure that'll be no problem to me. And at the same time, on that beautiful website, which is called Laines des Iles, I highly recommend having a look at it. Certainly if you're in Europe, it's a great source of rustic yarns from Norway and all of the islands in Europe, so including in the North Atlantic. So you've got stuff from Iceland and the Faroe Islands, Shetland. You've got stuff from certainly, so this is Faroe Islands, Sweden as well. So basically I ordered a few balls of the Rama garn. I ordered some of this Old Centrum. This is the sport weight, 300 meters per 100 grams, and it is Falu red, and this is the red that I used in the hoodie that I knit last month, the downtown hoodie, which I actually ran out of and had to use a slightly different colour for the drawstring. But anyhow, I took the opportunity, seeing as it was on the same website, to order more of this colour because I absolutely love it, and I know that I will use it in other projects. So I ordered 2 skeins of that, and on another tangent then I saw this beautiful yarn, which was 100 grams for sorry, it's 165 meters for 100 grams, so it's a sort of a it's a worsted weight, or an Aran weight. It's called Suri Togfa. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, and it comes from the Faroe Islands. So it was really good value. It was $5.90 per skein, and there were only 5 skeins left in the shop, on the internet, on the website. But I decided that was a perfect number for knitting another. It would make me another Felix pullover. So, but just even these 3 colours together look absolutely fantastic. So who knows? I know they're all different weights. This is sport weight, fingering weight, and Aran weight. But who knows? I might find some way of combining the 3 colours, or just another Felix. And this one is knit with, or is made with the spinning oils still in it. Right, sold with spinning oil still in it. So I haven't knit with a yarn like that before, and I think it plumps up when you finish when you wash it. so I think you use a larger needle than you think you should. So it's really going to be interesting to experiment with this. I'm really looking forward to it. And lovely to have something all the way from the Faroe Islands. I even had to look up, I had to do the Google search or a Google Maps search on where they actually are, because I know vaguely where the Faroe Islands are, but had to clarify it in my head before starting to talk to you, because I thought I want to know what I'm telling you. So for any of you people in the world who aren't familiar where the Faroe Islands is, it's a set of, I wrote this down, now let's see, it's a set of 18 islands, which is about halfway between Iceland and Norway, and 18 rocky volcanic islands between Iceland and Norway in the North Atlantic Ocean, connected by roads, tunnels, ferries, causeways and bridges, and part of the Kingdom of Denmark, but an autonomous territory. It says, in Google it says it's about 7.5 hours to fly from Dublin, but I don't think so. Just looking at the distance, it looks more like 2.5, so not very far away from Ireland, and I would love to visit. I have to visit all these places. I really want to go to Iceland, I'd love to visit Shetland, I'd love to visit the Faroe Islands, and I don't know if any of you have seen the series, the crime drama series Shetland. I've just discovered it, even though there are 7 or 8 seasons now, and there's another season coming out this year, and I've completely fallen in love with it. So highly recommend it as a great accompaniment to your knitting. So I think I'm on the 6th season now at this stage, and I have been highly entertained by it. It's really brilliant, and what's fabulous about it is the landscape, the accents, all of the regional accents, because they hire or they use actors and actresses from all over actually the British Isles, so you've got all sorts of different accents, and you can tell the difference as well between the Shetland accent and the Glaswegian accent, and then there are Irish actors in there as well, some of them who I think are picking up on a little bit of a Scottish accent, but very soft version of it. So it's just fascinating to listen and to watch and to hear, and the language as well. So I've been picking up on a few of the Shetland, what are they called, words that are part of that original language, like the Piri makers being the small makers or the small knitters that are being encouraged to keep the tradition up of Shetland knitting, Faroe Island knitting. And that word was used in the series Piri, and there was another word that they used recently which I thought, oh, that's typical Shetland. So really interesting series. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but anyhow, this Lendays EU website, I highly recommend it, and I'm really excited actually to start knitting with this. So even though I don't have a definite plan for it, but possibly another Felix, because I love my Felix sweater. I wear that all the time. That was knit with Icelandic, with Let Lopi. So that was one fabulous purchase, these 3 which arrived in early August, and really reasonably priced yarn. You know, it's so lovely. To get rustic yarns are often actually priced lower than, well, certainly than independent dyed yarn, which for obvious reasons, if it's a small business and it's hand dyed, it's going to be more expensive. But it's also nice to try out these other rustic yarns. You know, if the budget won't stretch to the dyed yarn, so. Or the hand-dyed stuff is what I mean. So the other lovely collection I got when I was on my holidays comes from this fabulous shop, Yarn O'Clock. You can see that. Yarn O'Clock is a shop in a town called Mold, which is in the north of Wales, where my brother and his wife and children live. They live in a town called Flint, and not very far away is Mold, and Yarn O'Clock is a fabulous, really, really beautiful yarn shop. So I went back to visit it, and I bought these fabulous skeins. These again are little samples that I picked up with no particular intention of what I was going to do with them, and just look at those colours, and fabulous quality yarn, all from England. England and Wales and Scotland, actually. They're the three countries are represented in this beautiful, beautiful rustic wool. I'm going to explain to you where each of them is from. So we have, I should really just read off the yarn labels. So we have Garthanor, Organic, Snowdonia Sock, these two. But they're both, they're different wools. What the dark brown, these are both natural colours, so undyed. This is 100% Hebridean, so 100% Scottish. And Brithdeer is the name of the colour. And this one is called Lily, and it's 100% Romney. And this is from the southwest of England. Where does it say? Southwest of England. So, Garthanor, Organic. And then these ones, these beautiful colours, look at these greens and this gold colour. Aren't they absolutely fabulous? These are Exmoor Sock, and they are a mixture of Exmoor Blueface, 60% Exmoor Blueface, 20% Corriedale, 10% Swarbles and 10% nylon superwash. And the colours are, can I see now, have they, oh yeah, this is called Drumble, and this one is called Angie, I think, and this one is called, oh, I can't read that one, Odameriod. It sounds like it could be a Welsh word. I'm not sure, it could be Welsh. Odameriod. Yeah, can't read that one. Anyway, they're all gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful colours. So I'm sure I'll be making colour work something or other out of these, and whether all colours end up in the same project or not, I don't know. They could be socks, they could be hat, they could be scarf or a shawl. Anyway, really, really looking forward to working with these. What a beautiful collection. And while I was there, the owner of the shop gave me this little leaflet to advertise a yarn gathering that she's having in collaboration with Kath Andrew Designs, and it's happening in the Daniel Owen Centre in Mold in North Wales on Sunday the 17th of September 2023. So if anybody lives near there, you might go along, and it's going to be a showcase of yarn, of local yarns, and a gathering of yarny people and knitting people. So it sounds absolutely wonderful, and it's just a shame that we don't live on the same landmass. It's too far to go, or it's too expensive to travel on the ferry. I mean, it's a once yearly holiday thing. It is expensive to go over in the ferry, much more so than it is to fly to anywhere in England, but the really huge advantage is that I was able to bring my tent over and all my camping gear. I was able to bring anything that I needed for the holiday. So we had a fabulous holiday. We walked for 3 days in the Yorkshire Dales on the Dales Way, which is a long distance walking route, and I have some footage of that which I'm going to show you at the end of the podcast. And it was just a magical journey, and we literally could only carried what we needed for those 3 days on our back. So we just had a little rucksack with change of clothes, with our wet weather gear, with a snack and a drink. And so that was it was quite challenging actually, not to carry very much, but I did carry my knitting. I carried the socks. I was working on the sock at the time, the Stephen West sock. So that came along with me on that 3-day walk. And do you think I did any knitting? No, I didn't do any knitting on it at all. So it was a lesson as well that I can let go of the knitting for a few days. I don't need it all the time. But anyway, it was with me in case I needed it. But we ended up walking 22 kilometres a day, which was actually quite challenging. By the time we arrived into our B&B in the evening, there was just enough time to have a shower, go out for a meal, and fall into bed at the end of the night. We were lucky with the weather. It was really sunny 2 of the days, and one day it just lashed rain the whole day, so we were completely washed out of it, and we ended up arriving like drowned rats into this beautiful B&B where the owner was so kind to us, and she dried all our clothes in the dryer, and she hung up everything over the range, over the aga, and dried all our shoes and boots. She was really absolutely incredible. That was in a little town called Buckend, I think. I've probably got that name wrong. Anyway, Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, Yorkshire Dales, absolutely stunning. And actually that's where the inspiration came from for talking about the oak today. I'm going to be talking to you about the oak in Irish legend and folklore. And I was so inspired when I was in England and Wales and in Yorkshire particularly, and then we were in the Lake District after that in Cumbria, so Yorkshire and Cumbria. The amount of mature oak trees around, mature trees in general and mature oak trees was just amazing. And when we were camping in the Lake District, my tent was literally directly underneath an oak tree. And yeah, it's just with all of the acorns falling around and it's the beautiful leaves everywhere. It's just an inspiration to talk about the oak, and it's something that the tree has sort of disappeared. I'll tell you more about this in a moment, but it's disappeared a lot from Ireland. We don't have that many mature oak forests, very little of it, whereas England still has an inspiring amount of it, and it was so lovely to see them and so inspiring. So yeah, that was our trip, and while we were walking I also came across one small yarn shop in a town called Grassington, but it didn't have any local yarns, but I did buy a skein of Lang yarns, the commercial yarn, Swiss yarn, and just a fingering weight sock yarn, 75/25. I don't know if I have that. I should have taken it out to show you, but anyway, that was the only purchase I made when I was walking, because we didn't have enough room in our bags to be carrying much. And anyway, there weren't that many really good yarn shops. We were supposed to go to or had to have planned to go to the wool show, which was happening in Birkenhead on the 19th of August when we were there, but we were 2.5 hours away. It was called the Pop-Up Wool Show. So unfortunately I didn't make it, but speaking of that, my sister-in-law did make it and to the wool show, and she said it was overwhelming because there's so much beautiful hand-dyed yarn on display and for sale, but she bought me a present when she was there, which I'm going to talk to you about now. And that's this thing here. This is what's called a spurtzler, and it's made by Natural Born Dyers. So it's www.naturalborndyers.com, and this is a set of instructions that goes with it's a spinning tool. So a little bit like it's like a drop spindle, but it's not a drop spindle. And this is the start of some very badly spun yarn, but it's my start in spinning, so I have always wanted to try out spinning, and I'm slowly learning how to use this. So basically you allow the handle of the spurtzler to turn in your hand, to twist the yarn first. So you're not wrapping the yarn around the top of it, you're just allowing it to twist the yarn. I'm supposed to be holding this. I'm going to twist it up around this first to show you, and then the idea is that you tease out the yarn and then twist it, and this is the hard part that I haven't learned how to do yet. And then you twist by letting the handle spin around in your hand. That's it. So when you see it going like that, it means it's spun. And then you just move on to the next piece of yarn and you tease it out and you twist it. So very simple, except that I haven't mastered the art of it yet. But isn't that a beautiful tool? It's so simple and a lot easier to use than a drop spindle. So it's my first entry into the world of spinning. So thank you very much, Elena, my lovely sister-in-law, for thinking of me and buying me this beautiful present. Because I didn't make it to the yarn show, because we were in the Lake District, which is actually, at the time when I was booking the holiday, I thought, oh, we might make it down for the day, but actually it was too far to travel for a day trip. It was 2.5 hours there, and it would have been 2.5 hours back, and with the children it would have been just two. So my son and my friend's son, they're both 12 going on 13, so it would have been too much of a trek and not very interesting for them. So we stayed up in the Lake District, and I just said, I'll get to a yarn show. One of these days I will get to a yarn show. I just actually have to book a proper holiday, which is going to be maybe the Edinburgh Yarn Festival or some big yarn festival in either England, Scotland or Wales, and I'll do it one day, and it'll be a focused time for me to go, and not something I'm trying to do at the same time as having a family holiday. So yeah, so that was a decision I made not to go there, but as you can see, I had plenty to keep me going with all these beautiful yarns and the lovely yarn that I had ordered from Laines. So yeah, so there's lots to keep me occupied for the next month, keep me out of trouble and off the streets. Let's see, is there anything else I was going to tell you about acquisitions? I don't think so. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to say about my future projects then. I really want to do the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West, which is in October, and I've seen already there's advertising for it. But I know that my workload this September, October are my busiest months with work, and I actually wonder if I'm going to be able to do it. But I will try, and I'll definitely sign up for it. And I'll see if I can keep up, and I would love to be able to podcast about it, but I know that October is probably going to be so busy that I really won't be able to knit the shawl until later, until November. Hi again everyone, and we have now come to the section of the podcast where I'm going to talk to you about trees, or at least the oak tree in Irish legend and folklore. So as I was saying to you earlier there, I was inspired to talk about oak trees because we saw so many of them when we were in England, and so if anybody isn't familiar with what an oak tree looks like, this is a tiny little sample. These are the leaves. They have these lovely sort of serrated edges on them. Oh, they're not really serrated, they're more like bumpy edges. And they're really distinctive, and they grow acorns, which squirrels love to eat, and other small animals, and they are really big in Irish legend and folklore, and they're huge all over the temperate rainforests of the British Isles or the UK and Ireland, and we saw loads of them when we were in England. And one of the things that we did when we were on holidays was we camped for 4 nights in a campsite in the Lake District, which was really in a completely in a forest, so really incredible campsite, and we were directly underneath an oak tree, and so we could see the acorns all over the ground. And not only that, but one of the nights we were there was a really bad storm. They called it Storm Betty, so it was a storm that brought loads of rain to the south of England and the south of Ireland as well, south coast of Ireland. And so I was getting warnings from my family to say, make sure your tent is pitched properly because it's going to be really bad weather. This storm is coming in, and so I bought extra tent pegs, and the ones that I bought were really strong. So I thought, well, my tent is not going to move anywhere. It's not going to get blown away anyway. And because usually what we worry about in this country is wind is more of a problem when you're camping than rain. But as it turned out, over there the wind wasn't so bad, probably because we were completely sheltered by all of these trees, but the rain was absolutely incredible. It was straight down rain. Usually we have rain that's blown across the way, but this came straight down like stair rods of rain. And anyhow, in the middle of the night, it had been raining all evening from about 7 o'clock in the evening. In the middle of the night, I was awake with the noise of it. It was so loud on the tent. I'd never heard anything like it, and I thought to myself, I hope my tent can hold up against this amount of water. And I just was shining the torch around the inside of the living compartment where we were sleeping, the sleeping compartment of the tent, and it was all fine. There were a few little drips that started, I was noticing, but nothing from the outer leaf, but nothing on the inner leaf. And then I shone the torch into the porch of the tent, and there were puddles everywhere, and I just got it in time before my clothes were destroyed, so I immediately jumped out of the bed, closed my suitcase, and decided everything had to go into the car. We were still dry where we were sleeping, but everything was getting saturated. All our stuff was getting really wet, so I jumped up out of the bed, got everything into the car, and while I was doing that realised that we could sleep in the car. So I have this car van which I've never slept in, but always thought I would love to convert to a sleeping camper van. So I thought this is the time to do it. So I took out the seats, which were really hard to lift out. I've done it before, I've taken the seats out before, but in the middle of the night when it was raining, it was struggling to get them out. Got them out, got all of the gear into the front seat and the passenger seat, driver's and passenger seat, and got all of our bedding then into the back of the car, and was able to get Ruben up, woke him up. He wasn't happy to be woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And into the car, into the van, and closed the doors, and the rain continued on, lashing, and I was just so relieved to be dry and comfortable in the van. But the next thing I started to hear every so often we'd hear this really loud bang on the roof of the van, and they were the acorns falling from the trees above. So they were really, the oak tree we were under was really tall, and the acorns made a huge bang when they hit the roof of the van. But so it was an experience, and it's the first time I've had that tent for about, I'd say, 7 years, and it's never leaked before. So it was extreme weather conditions to be camping in. But anyhow, I couldn't ignore the fact that we were surrounded by oak trees, and they've always been an inspiration to me. And I've actually planted, I think I have 10 of them altogether. I planted about 100 trees last year in my lower garden just below my house. We live on a hill, and there's a lower section to the garden, which already has a shelter belt of pine trees. And they're getting very old. They were planted probably in the 1940s, so they're sort of nearing the end of their lives, and I wanted to build up a new shelter belt, as well as having native trees in there rather than they're Sitka spruce pine trees, which aren't native to Ireland. And so I planted alder, hazel, oak, willow. I think they're the 4. Birch, I think I have a few birch trees in there as well, and so they've sprung up. I just planted them at the end of the winter last year, so it's about 1.5 years they've been in the ground. And this is a tiny sample of a leaf. I didn't really want to take a branch off them because they're such small trees, so I took this tiny sample, and I have photographs to show you as well of the other trees that I'm growing. But oak trees were once a huge part of Irish culture, and English and Welsh and Scottish. I mean, they really are. They were revered as signs of strength and signs of kingship as well. They were associated with kingship, and the word for the Irish oak, if the word for the oak tree in Irish is dar, D-A-I-R. There's even a boy's name, Dara, which comes from oak, and lots and lots of place names come from this word dar. So you have anything that has that's been anglicised in Irish place names as Derry, D-E-R-R-Y, means there was an oak forest there at some stage. And if you look at an Irish Ordnance Survey map, there are hundreds and hundreds of place names with Derry at the beginning of them, and there are places often where you wouldn't think there would have been any forest at all. They're sort of quite, bogland and moorland. There's a place very near us called Derryon, which is spelled Derryaun, and it actually means Derryaun, which Eon means wild, so it's a wild oak wood. And the very well known, one of the largest cities in the north of Ireland, Derry, comes from Dara, which is the oak wood, and that place was founded by St. Columcille, Derry in the north, and apparently he had such regard to St. Columcille, had such high regard for the oak wood there, that he declared that he was more fearful of the sound of axes in it than he was of death. So it just shows you how much reverence there was in Irish culture, ancient Irish culture, for oak trees and for oak woods, and they were a huge part of everyday life. And they provided shelter, they provided materials for building, they provided food in the form of nuts and acorns, and they also provided places for gathering, and for also, it's thought, for learning the secrets of Celtic wisdom from the fairies in the woods. This is something that's written about in folklore. So so that's where the inspiration came from. It came from our trip to England. And England has these incredibly ancient oaks and oak trees, and it's so beautiful to see them. And unfortunately, we've lost most of them in this country for probably way back in the 16th and 17th centuries. The forests of Ireland were cleared. It's hard to even get to the bottom of the real reasons for the clearance, but it's to do with the colonisation of the country, and the trees were used for shipbuilding and also building, but they were pretty much cleared by the 18th century. And the one place you do find mature tree specimens in this country are on the landed estates that were built in the 18th century, and they're almost like little microcosms of the English landscape. And around about them and outside of them, you don't find so many mature trees. Which is sad and disappointing, but I think that we're on our way back. I think people are planting, and there's this idea that in the west of Ireland, because we've got so much wind and so much extreme weather from, we live within view of the Atlantic Ocean here. I can see Inishturk, one of the islands off the west coast. I can see it from my back windows here. So we get all of the southwesterly winds coming in straight off the Atlantic, so we get really strong winds. And the idea in people's minds is that, trees can't grow in this harsh environment, but these are native to this country. And my planting is showing, and many people are doing the same thing as me. It's not just me, but it's showing that actually, of course, they grow here. They're meant to be here. It's supposed to be a temperate rainforest, and they'll thrive here. And the size of the trees, I started off with just bare root trees, which would be maybe a metre high when I was planting them. And they're already, some of them, up to 3 metres in a year. So it just shows how quickly they grow and how happy they are in this environment. And even the oak trees are pretty much up to sort of this level here, maybe 1.5 metres. So yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So, and we're on our way back to hopefully re-establishing our native trees all over the country. And that's really partially my interest in this whole thing is that we really, by planting them we're reconnecting with the ancient wisdom of the country. And I think that it's so important in these times to, with all of the worries that we have about changes in the world, and we can just, all we can do is what we could do close to home. And if we can plant some trees and reconnect with that wisdom, I think that's a huge step forward, and it's a huge comfort for me to be able to do that, and for many people, I think, as well. So the Irish word is dar. It also represents the letter D in the Ogham alphabet, and the oak was known as one of the noble trees of the wood, so it was highly revered and regarded. And some other famous place names which have oak in their name are Kildare, so that's Kildara, which Kil means church of the oak, which was founded by St. Bridget, and which I talked about in one of my previous podcasts. And there was a monastic school then as well in Durrow in County Laois, and that name Durrow is a translation of Mai Dara. Mai Dara means oak plain, Mai being plain, and Dara being oak. And there are many other place names, as I was saying, including Derryon. And if you take a look at any Ordnance Survey map, as I say, you'll see the word Derry in front of a lot of place names, which means there was an oak wood there. So they were all over the country. It was a very important tree to the Celts, and its lore is rich and complex. It is a symbol of kingship because of its connotations of strength and fertility. And the word also means chief in Irish. In early Irish law, the oak was classified as one of the 7 Airg Fedo, or nobles of the wood, and oak timber was used for numerous purposes, from constructing buildings and ships to barrows and furniture, and it was used for tanning leather. The oak bark was used for tanning leather and for making a black dye. The oak was associated with magic as well and the other world. In the Táin Bó an ancient Irish legend, Cuchulainn writes a piece of Ogham script on an oak sapling while adopting a magical posture, and twists it around a stone in order to hinder the armies of Maeve, so it's seen as having magical powers. A poem about the Slí Dála talks about the ancient lore of Samhain being learned in oak woods, so ancient lore and learning and wisdom coming from spirits and fairy folk who lived in the oak woods. So there's such a magical, rich folklore and history associated with not just the single tree, but with woodlands, which were made of oak trees. In the pursuit of Diarmid and Grania, or Toriacht Diarmid agus Grania, which is another famous Irish legend, Diarmid and Grania stopped at a place called Dura da Bui, which is oak wood of the two fools, and Diarmid cut 7 doors of wood from the grove to protect them. These may have had magical significance, and the Fianna are unable to pass through them and are forced to wait for Diarmid to come out. There's a play on words there as well, because Dura means oak grove and Dersha means doors. So Dura and Dersha. So the most famous oak tree in Irish legend was the oak of Moon in County Kildare, and this was closely associated with kingship. It was planted by the mythical figure Fintan Mac Bohan, but remained hidden from view until it appeared at the time of the birth of the legendary King Con Céad Cahach. So King Con Céad Cahach. Céad Cahach means Con of the 100 battles. So he appeared, when he was born, this magical, mythical oak wood, which had remained hidden until the time of his birth, appeared. And this oak tree, the oak was enormous in size, being 30 cubits in girth and 300 in height. So I actually had to look up how big a cubit was, because this doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't know if anybody else knows how big a cubit is, but for those who speak in imperial measurements, it's 18 inches long. It's a measure of length, the cubit. So it's 18 inches long, or that's equivalent to 44 centimetres. So 30 of those would be 45 feet in girth around the oak, around the trunk, which is equivalent to 13 metres, 20 centimetres in decimal. And the height, which was 300 by 18, 300 cubits, so 300 by 18 inches, which is 5,400 inches, which is 450 feet high, which is like the size of a hill or a mountain, which is equivalent to 132 metres high. So that's how high and how big the trunk of this oak tree were. And the tree bore 3 crops a year, one of acorns, one of nuts, and one of apples. And the apples were wonderful and marvellous, and the nuts were round and blood red, and the acorns were brown and ridgy. So it was all incredible tree and incredible fruit. And one poem mentions a crop of 900 sackfuls of acorns. So what an incredible mythical tree, and shows how important trees were. The oak tree was in storytelling and in representing kingship and representing strength. So the Metrical Din Shanachas contains the following poem about it. So I was going to read you a little poem about the oak tree, which is in our ancient collection of poems, and it goes 158, I think, is my page. I should have marked it before talking to you. So, the Tree of Moon. Moon is a place in County Kildare. Tree of Moon, great and fair, highest its top beyond compare. 30 cubits, no small count, the measure of its girth amount. 300 high, tree without stain, 1,000 could gather in its shade, in the northeast hidden from sight, until Con of the 100 fights. 100 score warriors, no idle boast, 1,040 more at most, could gather there with raucous noise, till the satire of poets it destroyed. So, and the legend has it that the satire of the poets destroyed this incredible tree. So it is just a thing of wonder to imagine that there probably were trees that actually reached that height, because the oak can live till well over 1,000 years, and there are still oaks in the world that are that age. Unfortunately not here, I don't think. There may be one in County Meath, which is mentioned in the To Speak for the Trees in that book, Elizabeth Beresford Kruger talks about a tree over 1,000 years old, an oak tree in County Meath, which I haven't seen or haven't visited, but there are so few of them that it's remarkable, that one of them could be singled out. So that is really all there is to tell you about the oak tree. It is just, there's so many legends, and I've only picked out one or two out of this book. This is the Neil McCutcheon's Ireland's Trees, Myths, Legends and Folklore, and it's highly recommended reading. So I just thought I'd give you a little taster of them and remind you of how beautiful these trees are, and I'm absolutely thrilled that I have 10 of them at least growing in my garden. They're only just starting out, but it's so wonderful to see them growing, and to see native trees coming back and being planted and treasured again. So before I finish, I just wanted to say I did very little knitting while I was away on holidays, but one thing that I rekindled in me was my love of reading, and I was given a present of one of these books, and I bought one of the other ones, and I thought I'd share them with you because they're really works of art and they're very short and easy to read. They're both by Fraoch Knits. This one is called Foster, and this one you'll have heard. Hi again everyone, I was in the middle of telling you about Fraoch Knits' Foster. So this is a book that I read when there was a storm at night time in my tent in the Lake District in England, and I had no mobile phone coverage or no mobile phone battery left, that's what it was. So I picked up this book that I had bought in a lovely bookshop in a town called, I think it's Silsden in North Yorkshire. And so I had heard about this. I mentioned it before in a previous podcast. It was made into a film called An Colleen Kuhn, which has become very famous, or known in English as The Quiet Girl. And it was filmed it's filmed in Irish. It's an Irish language film, and it was the first Irish language film ever to be nominated for an Oscar. So they didn't win an Oscar for it in the end, but the nomination was huge anyway. So it is really highly recommended. Fraoch Knits is an incredible author. Her books are very short, her novels are, she writes short stories also, which are brilliant, but this novel is only just over 100 pages, and it is about a child who is sent in the 1980s, who is sent off to live with relatives, stay with relatives for the summer. And it's told from her point of view, and there's a whole backstory to the relatives and their own difficulties in life. So I won't tell you any more than that or I'll give it away, but it's really well worth reading, and it was such a joy to return to reading instead of looking at my mobile phone at night time when I couldn't sleep. I was there in the tent with my torch reading under the covers, and it was just absolutely brilliant. And the other one I read was this one, Small Things Like These, also by Fraoch Knits, which was given to me by my friend Katrina while we were on holidays, and she had read it before, and it's just another beautiful story and beautifully written. Fraoch Knits is compared to, some people will compare it to John McGahern's style of writing, and I've read all of his books. They are absolutely beautiful. So if you're interested in getting close to the Irish psyche, I suppose, and a very pared back use of the English language, absolutely brilliant storytelling. You know, she can actually conjure up a whole character and an image in about 2 sentences, and she does it so well. So really well worth reading these if you get a chance. And the great thing about them is they're really short, so if you haven't been reading for a while and distracted by your phone, they're great books to rekindle your love of reading. So last but not least, and before I forget, I'm going to announce the winner for this absolutely beautiful skein of yarn. I'm going to put her name up on the screen here. The winner is, I have to just make sure I have the right pronunciation, even though I may get it wrong. Her name is Karen Zlatkis, and her comment was, love watching your makes and the cultural aspects of Ireland that you share with us all. My favourite so far is the one about the hair. So thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for commenting, and if you send me a private message on Instagram, I'll be able to, with your details, your address, and I'll be able to send you this skein of yarn as quickly as possible, as soon as possible. So private message me on my Instagram account, which is at Fraochknits. And thank you all, so anybody who commented, thank you so much for all your wonderful comments on my last video and for entering the competition. And I'm sorry, there's only one prize. I think the next time I'm going to do more than one, because it seems there's so many so many people commenting, 158 altogether. I was absolutely blown away. And also for all the lovely connections that you have with Ireland and with the knitting and the projects, and it's really, really lovely to get those comments. It really inspires me to keep podcasting. And to know that I'm part of a huge community out there, and it's a lovely one. It's the knitting and fibre arts community is just absolutely beautiful. It continues to inspire. So Cotto was back here looking for a bit of attention. He was really upset when we went away for 2 weeks. He was so sad every day. My neighbour who feeds him when we're not here said that he was practically crying when she would come and feed him. He was so lonely. And he's been sleeping on my bed ever since we've got back. So it was lovely to be back. Great to be back home. Great to be starting into the autumn. Looking forward to all the newness that autumn brings. I always think this is like the beginning of the year, really, the proper beginning of the year. And looking forward to lots of knitting, if possible. Plenty of work to be done as well, though. And but I hope you're all keeping well, and that you're all going to be getting stuck into your autumn knits. And I look forward to chatting to you again in about a month's time, the end of September, and we'll see where I've got with my projects, and it'll be lovely to hear from you then too. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and see you all again next time. Take care, everybody, and happy knitting. Okay, see you soon. Bye now.
Don't be a stranger in the night. Take a chance for some romance. Don't cover your eyes. Willow trees know you better than anyone else. It's time you let your guard down for someone like me. I'd say I'm settled and pretty calm. I don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. The sweetest red cheese I'd ever seen. You stand beside me in every dream. Angel goddess, you cover them all. Say, what can I do to get you to fall for someone like me? I'd say I'm settled and I'm pretty cold. Don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. It's most of all that deserves you. It's crucial that he deserves you. That he deserves you. Go with someone like me.